All right, today we're going to be diving into Solana and also Helium, how these two projects might be pairing up to create a very interesting mobile future for crypto mining and what that might mean around Helium, all that good stuff. We'll dive in deep. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Let's get into it today. There's a couple of news items around Helium and some of their movement. And you guys have seen us go fairly deep on Helium here on our show. We've had one of their co-founders and a couple of their executives on our show talking about kind of the future of where mining might go in terms of what is really kind of proof of, we'll call it everything, because you look at mobile, the opportunity of what we might see in IoT, and really kind of the future of where all of this starts to play together with Solana. Let's jump over to the HIP 70, which is the Helium overall proposal to migrate to Solana. This is the HIP. We actually broke this down for you guys. It's a proposal by Helium's core developer. Let me zoom in on that for you. To improve the operational efficiency of Helium blockchain, significantly moving to proof of coverage, which is kind of this whole idea around mobile and how this would work potentially as a mining device, potentially with this new engagement with Solana. The data transfer to oracles, which simplifies the system architecture and allows for selection of more scalable layer one. So specifically Solana. So this is really kind of the basis of where Helium is trying to go. And if you understand Helium's position right now, I would still say it is one of the poster children of crypto in terms of utility. If you look at some of the investors, and it is kind of one of those OGs when you come to traditional Silicon Valley, because they understand IoT, mobile, and the network of things, which really kind of changes the narrative of how Helium is going to be going to market. What they're talking about is moving to proof of coverage oracles, moving data transfer accounting to oracles, and then migrating the Helium network, including its tokens, governance, and economics around HNT, DC, IoT, mobile, all onto the Solana blockchain. And this would be, I think, somewhat interesting. The question is whether or not the community would like this. This could create undue traffic. It also could put some undue pressure on Solana as well, which we already know a little bit about what's happening over there. After the move to Solana, about almost 7% of HNT emissions will return to the miner pool, benefiting the hotspot owners in all the sub-DAOs. So I think that is a positive, but I don't know that much of the community would say that is the winning element here. Developers do propose the migration to Solana. There's quite a bit that really goes around when you look at the community, and this is something we've talked about here on the show and really dove into deeply on Helium. And we also cover Helium as one of our CPI tokens, meaning that we drop sentiment data on it 3 times a week. Check the link below if you want information on the CPI. But a little bit about the community and why they don't necessarily like the idea. Sol will handle 1 million miner requests when it can't even handle a proper mint due to bots. So this is kind of the narrative. And if you look at IoT and the evolution of 5G, because remember, Helium released their 5G advancement technology for mining and really kind of transitioning over to potential mobile space, even though IoT will still be a big part of that. All of this could put, as I said, some undue pressure on Solana for sure. Other community members also question why the community was not given a choice to decide which layer 1 blockchain should be migrated to. Some suggesting that Cardano and also Cosmos should have been picked. So that is kind of interesting. I would have actually kind of agree with that. I would probably have picked Atom, maybe. Cosmos would have been a good one. ADA, to a certain extent, there would be some solutions there that might be a little different. But I think when it comes down to it, the mobile connectivity of what Solana is trying to do in terms of building a mobile device, I think that's the winning component. And for mobile mining and 5G and the evolution of HNT and Helium as a whole, I think it does make sense that Solana was the one, but I do like the other potentials here. In response, the Helium CEO basically asked the community member to write another HIP with the different proposals. This is ours. So they went about it, but overall, it really kind of just boils down into, I think, going the Solana route. Helium also is one of today's biggest movers to the upside in the crypto world. We saw a little bit of a rise on Helium. It did fall, obviously, with some of the macro news from last Friday, but Helium did have a nice little track run there on the markets, which I think were indicative of what this kind of partnership kind of represents. Some things that you would look for here, and this is kind of interesting right here, potential for disruption in how people think about traditional communications infrastructure, and the tracking and storage of data provides a relatively large potential market for investors to get excited about. And I think this is really what we are looking at around what Helium has been trying to do, is they're really trying to restructure how not only mobile, but also how data is moved outside, especially in the world of IoT. I do think we're going to see a lot more IoT sensors, devices, a lot of Bluetooth low energy type stuff that eventually will start to migrate even more technology to the IoT layer, especially as we start to see more and more tech being used in modern day society. So I think Helium is in the right place at the right time. All right, so we want to thank our sponsors today, and that is Gala Games. Make sure and check out their new film nodes, which are on sale now. You guys, of course, can do that just by going to Gala Games. And another thing they've got going, of course, is Spider Tanks, getting ready to release free to play. So this is a new feature coming out in terms of the game array that Gala is offering. So make sure and check that out. They do have the capability of also signing up for Gala Films, so you can actually be part of the community, start to learn a little bit more about all that. Make sure and hit the links below for more information and help the channel out. When you look at Solana and maybe why they were picked or selected, I think this pretty much says it all. Solana's mobile debut of Saga, a flagship Android phone, which of course is really geared for Web3. And if you've looked at this, we've talked about this. We did a full report on this. Solana's blockchain is making it easy to secure and transact in Web3 and manage digital assets such as tokens, NFTs, all that cool stuff. Eventually, the only argument I have with this is that I think eventually Samsung and Apple will have some sort of solution for Web3. And over time, whether that is the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, the eventual nature of getting NFTs into a mobile device and even doing mining potentially, or doing something like with Helium and others that may fall into this category, I think it's just a short period of time away. You know, we are moving in that direction. Web3, of course, if you look at the internet and how its evolution into the mobile aspect, including social, all that, it all has gone the way of the mobile device. And I think Solana's in the right position. They're pulling the right strings to try to make all this happen. If you look at some of the numbers, 7 billion people use smartphones around the world, and more than 100 million people hold digital assets. So these are obviously both going to grow. We're going to see pretty significant growth in the coming years around this. So I do think the partnership is a good one. The potential here is also, I think, good in the sense that it helps, and that would be the question, does it help Helium better or does it help Solana better? I think it helps Helium in the sense that Helium is looked at as a utility aspect of Web3 and blockchain, and because of that, Silicon Valley really understands it. I think it helps Solana because there is a new incremental opportunity here of potentially mining on a mobile device, which could be very interesting down the future. Can Solana bring 1 billion more users onto crypto? This is, of course, Anatoly kind of talking about the goal behind the new mobile phone, and this is kind of their track. Listen, if they get there with large adoption, and it's really tricky timing here, because the idea around rolling this phone out and then having the adoption curve at the same time, remember, we're still only $1 trillion market, and we're not really looking at a massive, 300 million, investors worldwide. To really get to 1 billion users, mobile will be, I think, the gateway that helps it go there, especially on gaming. And we've talked about this many times on our show. He talks about it here. The goal for this product is to build an awesome experience, signing for self-custody, integrations between native apps, digital items, NFTs, all that good stuff, which is really kind of the Web3 narrative. And where this goes with, every time I use Apple Pay, I don't have to enter another credit card ever again. Those are some of the features that I think, wouldn't you love to be able to do that with blockchain? I think that is something that will be a killer app that will be coming faster. If Solana is the one that pulls this off, Solana could really be in a very good position around a layer one that could change the game. Because remember, ETH has its massive community and a massive number of apps, but no real killer app outside it. Remember, much more utility aspect from a payments architecture versus what Solana might be doing is more of a Rails architecture, which I think is a little different overall. Innovation is what he hopes to bring the market fit to those billion users, and I think this will be the big factor here, is how well they do it. A couple of tweets here. The Solana phone, they kind of are talking about, here we go, this is going to be a big one. And you guys have seen maybe our videos here on the show. We had a chance to interview the guys over at Solana Spaces, and I'll show you a little bit about that. But Coinbase Wallet also launching support for the Solana dApp ecosystem. Another big win for Solana. All of this moving in strategically. If anything, I will say this, is that the Solana team, the executive team, we'll call it, or at least the team that is driving the roadmap, they're doing a good job. They're dropping things at the right time. It's very strategic. The partnerships are aligned well. All of it seems to be working in the right direction. If they get out of beta and we start seeing fewer and fewer crashes, fewer and fewer congestion points, Solana could be a very interesting project to stay in long term. Again, for me, I own and I buy Solana in and out, but it's mostly a trading vehicle for me. I'm looking for wins on it, but it is something I watch very closely. Also here, in its first major crypto wallets, list NFTs directly onto Magic Eden from your Phantom browser extension. The mobile is coming soon. It's build season, and we're thinking NFTs to the next level with our friends at Magic Eden. And when they say it's build season, I mean, hey, right now the market being down, everybody usually in most good, well-funded projects are heads down, building, and really trying to create new innovation to layer up and get ready for the next evolution of what the bull run could be for those projects. Timing will be everything because adoption is going to be underway big time. Fireblocks also launches its Web3 engine support on Solana, which I think is another big sign when you look at security. Thousands of businesses obviously use Fireblocks to access Web3 products and services. Solana co-founder Anatoly talks about this. We are going to essentially have access to the depth and breadth of the Solana ecosystem. This will be a good thing for Fireblocks in terms of security and what this might look around products as it starts to develop on Solana. More stuff here, of course, if you look at Solana Spaces, which, by the way, I think they just opened their store here in Miami. But if you've not taken a look at these, they've got one in New York. And we'll kind of scan here. You can kind of see a little bit about what they're trying to do. But what they're doing is teaching a lot of people about the use case of NFTs, wallets, how to potentially go in and really understand the Web3 world. It likens a lot to the early days of AOL. If you think about how people were being trained how to use the internet and email for the very first time, that's really what I look at right now. And I think Solana Spaces is onto something in the sense of more education. So it definitely is a good thing for where this is going. Just as a reminder, you can go over to explorer.helium.com and hit /mobile. You can actually see the growth of the mobile environment that's happening in terms of mining. So this is going to be interesting. Right there is the US, but right now 5G radio is currently at 3348. Still big growth here for what's happening overall, which is kind of interesting because I think as we see this market really kind of move, you can kind of see the number of validators, the stake validators, the consensus size there, and then the overall market right there. Oracle price is going well. And this is it's really a great tool, I think, for if you do like checking a little bit out of what's happening over at Helium. Let me kind of go to and just refresh that for you on the overall Explorer, because that gives you a little bit better view of the overall size of the IoT marketplace that Helium has been building. And you can get down to the block itself, so of where your transaction, of where these miner cells are and located. Pretty cool stuff. Question will be, once you start layering in mobile into this, what does that really look like, and how this partnership with Solana could really kind of expand both platforms, both projects in a big way. Love to get your comments on if you think both of these projects are something you like. Are you interested in these kinds of devices? If you ever wanted to do mobile mining, kind of curious if you would participate. Just drop some comments in the chat below. Also, if you're not part of the Diamond Circle, make sure and jump in right now. It's very easy and free. Just use the link below. You'll catch us there. If you guys want to get me, it is out there on Twitter @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechBath.